The PMP is changing this year in 2026, which means that thousands of certified PMP professionals will be dominating the job market, which I call the PMP Gold Rush. What used to help us stand out is now no longer going to be a value differentiator for us. What's up, my friend? My name is Alvin. I'm an engineering project manager, also a certified PMP, and today I am so excited to share with you the biggest predictions that I have that I think will be coming up for project management careers this year. The very first big impact that I foresee is tied to the PMP itself, meaning that using the PMP certification to stand out is now over. We all know that the PMP is changing in August of this year, but what is going to be behind the scenes is that hundreds, if not thousands of professionals will now become certified before August. How does that affect you and me? Well, honestly, I think this is going to be called the PMP Gold Rush because what used to be a value differentiator 10 years ago is no longer a value differentiator. I think it still will give us value to earn a higher income, but it means it will be so much more competitive to compete against 10 other people who are also PMP certified. So the true question here is, if you're going to be applying to jobs in project management this year and you have the PMP, how will you stand out? And I want to share with you some data from PMI that they released. And truthfully, I do think that the PMP is still completely worth the certification itself. However, I think we need to understand the reality of what we're currently in. So PMI did say in a recent salary survey that those who are PMP certified still make more money than those who are not PMP certified. So I want that to make it completely clear before we dive into more analysis in this video. So PMI recently shared an update in November 2025. They said this: PMP certification holders build career momentum and experience earning advantage. PMP certified survey respondents in the US reported a median salary of $135,000 compared to $109,157 for those non-certified, a nearly 24% difference. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? It means that the PMP certification has still maintained its value in terms of earning potential. But what I'm trying to get at here though is that I don't think that having a PMP alone will help you stand out when you're applying to jobs. I don't think that if you see a job as a senior project manager or program manager, just because you're PMP certified does not mean that you'll automatically get an interview, right? And I want to ask you a question. Have you experienced any struggles with landing a job, even though you're PMP certified? If you have, let me know and share your experience in the comment section down below. I want to hear from you and I want to know what you're currently going through and what your biggest struggles are. So my belief is that the PMP can still get your foot in the door. It will bypass a lot of the filters on many companies that say must have a PMP certification or prefer PMP certification with 5 years of experience, right? I think it will help you bypass it. However, I don't think it will help you stand out from hundreds of other people who are PMP certified. And my friend, I truthfully do believe that the only way to stand out is by pulling out your unique experiences from your own career. What do I mean by this? What I'm talking about is I have a different background than you, and you have a different background than me. You have delivered results that are far better than what I have done, and vice versa. We've all done different things in different capacities, right? Maybe you helped the company save $100,000 in 1 month because you implemented a new software change. Maybe you helped lead a team to launch a new ERP system across 10 different locations. Or perhaps you launched a marketing campaign that drove a revenue of $1 million. You see the difference here? We've all worked on something, but you need to reframe your experiences in terms of the impact, like monetary experience or business operations efficiencies or driving customer or employee satisfaction and engagement. Whatever the value that you've delivered, the results that you accomplished, now more than ever before, you have to tap into it. It's not the time to just list your day-to-day tasks and responsibilities on your resume. If you're still writing your resume and you list out tasks like led a daily huddle for managing a project or created a project management plan for 10 plus projects, I don't think that's still going to work this year in 2026. I strongly believe that you need to lead with the accomplishments and the value and the results that you delivered in your past results, even if you're PMP certified. And the reason I believe that is because when you roll up your sleeves and you wear your experiences on your resume and you tell the employer in your resume about what you've done and you quantify the impact that you've made, my friend, I think that they will be blown away by what you've done. Also knowing that you're already PMP certified. And I think those are huge brownie points for them and also for you. So again, don't rely only on the PMP certification to stand out in 2026. Instead, wear your unique experiences and your results and your accomplishments proudly on your resume, and then speak about it in your interviews to stand out. Now, if you want to land your next project management job, you can download my free project manager resume template at alvinthepm.com/resume template. This is the exact resume template that I used to pivot careers from engineer to project manager, and I was able to do that and still land six-figure jobs. So if you want my exact framework, go ahead, download my resume template at alvinthepm.com/resume template. The second big change that I foresee coming up in 2026 is that project managers must be value creators with business acumen. You know, when I first started out as an engineering project manager, I just wanted experience. I didn't care what kind of projects that I worked on. I just wanted to work on projects so that I could build up my portfolio, so to speak. And maybe you feel the same way. You want to work on what's new, what's flashy. Oh, they're developing a new product. I want to be on that project. Ooh, we're optimizing this equipment that's going to be used on this manufacturing line. Count me in, I want to be on that project. Oh, they're developing a new software. Can I be a part of that? My friend, this year, we need to focus on being value creators instead of just trying to manage tens or a few or 5 to 10 dozens of projects. Focus on the vitally few that will deliver real value to the business, to the company itself. And this is what I think helped me understand how to build a better work-life balance as a project manager. Instead of trying to participate and volunteer for 10 plus projects because I just wanted to work more or have more of an impact, I realized that to stand out, you need to work on projects that actually make a huge impact on the company itself. What are the biggest projects that you could possibly participate in that actually move that needle forward in driving the company revenue? Or is it tied to a big product launch that the company is putting all their money towards? How can you be a part of that? And then to free up your time, stop working on the lower priority projects. If your manager, for example, asks you, hey, Alvin, would you like to participate on this other project? Then you would say something like, I want to make as much value as I can, and I want to focus all of my energy and attention to this much higher priority project. You don't have to necessarily volunteer for every single project, because that's the biggest mistake I did when I was starting out and I was feeling burnt out. But this year, I want you to take the initiative to say no to most things and say yes to the vitally few. Assign yourself to the most important project that you know will make an impact on the company, because when you do that, that means that you will be irreplaceable, because now you're working on projects that will make a huge difference in the company's future. Is that making sense? I don't want you to work on endless projects just because. Do things intentionally and strategically because you know it is tied to the company's future vision. And when you do that, you will be irreplaceable because you have built your reputation with management, leadership, and your team because you're working on one of the biggest projects in the company. That's my biggest advice and what I think we need to do to continue to stand out, even in this AI era where there's all these AI tools of, I'll use this to improve your communication efficiencies, use this tool to translate your meeting minutes into a summary and audio format. right? There's so many AI tools out there, but the biggest question is, how do we stand out in this AI dominated era as project managers? And I think PMI has summarized it very succinctly, which is we need to deliver value. We need to be value creators. In fact, PMI recently released a new report on what it means to be successful with managing our projects. How do we meet these newest changes in our landscape? And what it tells us, if I could paraphrase a few of its report summaries, is that we must look beyond the tasks, the outputs, and prioritize how are we delivering value that matters the most to the company? How do we elevate our value beyond just controlling the typical iron triangle constraints of scope, schedule, and costs? If we know that we can push something to the side or move a lever up and down because we know that it will increase revenue by a much bigger margin, or we can open up a new market for a company, then we should go for it, right? Maybe instead of just delivering one product line, we focus on saying, hey, if we did this, this could even increase our revenue even more, right? So being open to ways to increase the value of our project and not being so closed-minded to thinking that we need to stick in the constraints of the typical iron triangle. So PMI did release this new report, which I'll share on the screen right here, and I will leave a link down below so you can dig deeper if you're interested. But their framework is called MORE. We can be successful by doing more. So the first one is manage perceptions. For a project to be considered successful, key stakeholders should perceive that the project's output provides sufficient value relative to the perceived investment of resources. This was an aha moment for me when I was reading it, because you don't want to just work on endless number of things because you just want to be busy, right? You want to seem like you're busy. But truthfully, you only want to do things that look successful in your manager's eyes, right? The difference between good and successful is that you're doing things that matter the most to the company and to your manager. That's the biggest mindset shift that I want you to make, and it's something that I will be shifting my mindset as well. The second part of this framework is to own success. If you haven't done so already, you need to own the success of your projects. PMI says this: project professionals need to take ownership of the entire breadth of a project, moving beyond mostly execution focus to taking accountability for delivering tangible and perceived value while minimizing waste. The third part of this framework is to relentlessly reassess. And in my mind, this kind of speaks more to the agile ways of working. And so we need to stop thinking that things are completely fixed at one point in time, but instead they're continuously evolving and adapting. What one person might want today will be completely different what they want in 2 weeks or 1 month or 3 months from now. So be willing, have an open mind to understand that, hey, things change, our project plan will change, but we know that we can be flexible enough to pivot whenever necessary. And the last part of PMI's framework is to expand perspective. And this one was very important when I read it, and it gave me that aha moment, which is all projects have impacts beyond the scope of the project itself. We should consider the broader picture and how the project fits within the larger business goals or objectives of the enterprise. What does this mean and why did it impact me so much? Well, whatever you're doing in your current role, maybe you're already a project manager, you want to find a way to tie that to one of the company's bigger objectives. Because when you can tie something to an objective that the company is working on, then that means you're driving real value to the business. And when there's so many layoffs going on in big companies, like Microsoft, Google, the list goes on, how do you continue to be irreplaceable? Well, you put yourself on big projects that are connected to the company's overall objectives. And when you do that, that's when you know you're driving real value to the company, because it depends on the actions that you're taking. Whether you hit or you miss a deadline, you know that it's tied to your company hitting a possible revenue goal, right? Is that making sense? So do everything you can to work on things or projects that are tied to what your company wants to accomplish. That was the biggest takeaway that I had when I read through PMI's most recent report. And be sure to check that link out in the description box down below. Now, aside from all of that, as PMI discusses in the report, the biggest differentiator that you will ever have, aside from developing your industry expertise, is your business acumen. And I wrote down a few notes here that I think could help you stand out even more. And these are skills that you will develop over time. And they include understanding your business model of the company, customer relationship and satisfaction, having a deep understanding on your industry domain, knowing how to navigate legal and regulatory compliance standards, being aware of what the market trends are in your industry, knowing how financial management operations are operating, and of course, risk management from the business perspective. And something that I personally am still doing to this very day here is that I am reading the personal MBA on a day-to-day basis or whenever I have some free time. What I like to do is I'll pick 1 or 2 pages and I'll read through one lesson, and that sharpens my business acumen so I can remember some of the most important business topics and how I can bring that into my day-to-day as a project manager. So if you're like me and you want to increase your business knowledge because maybe you didn't grow up with a business degree, or perhaps you know you need to understand more of the business side of things, then I highly recommend picking up a copy of the Personal MBA, which I will leave my affiliate link down below. It does support me at no additional cost to you. So I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Now, the third trend that I predict, which will completely change our careers in project management this year, is tied to none other than AI. You see, AI is changing us as we speak. Now, AI in 2026 will be a core capability of project managers. Maybe last year, your company slowly introduced you to it, right? You were slowly learning these tools. But I predict that in 2026, you will be required to know how to use AI to do your job more effectively. In other words, you will be expected to output more results in a shorter period of time because you have AI. You have Google Gemini, you have ChatGPT, you have other software tools that incorporate AI so you can brainstorm faster, create project documents faster, analyze your data faster. So that means that you should be faster at doing your work. And that's what I believe leadership and management will expect from us. So do yourself a favor. If you're not diving deeper into how to use these AI tools, now is the time to learn how to use them to make your job more efficient, because you never know what can happen in another year from now. So you want to learn how to be irreplaceable, because AI is already automating a lot of admin tasks. And I wrote down a list here, like meeting summaries, updating stakeholders, requirements traceability mapping, creating presentations, optimizing resource planning, even updating our schedules, creating a report, or just creating a generic project plan. AI tools can do all of that. And if you want to be irreplaceable and you want to stand out in this PMP gold rush, you need to know how to use these AI tools so you can make decisions faster and still lead your teams to meet our tough and aggressive timelines. You can do it, and I think that these tools that we have at the tip of our fingerprints will put us at a spot where we can deliver more results and deliver more value than we ever could than ever before. Are you with me here? Because I think that there is so much opportunity for us, and the only thing that we need to do is just start building the fluency on how to use these AI software tools. You know, I started with ChatGPT, and now I'm starting to slowly learn other AI software tools. Now, I have a question for you. What AI tools are you currently using in your workplace? Is there any that you recommend using? Let me know about your experiences in the comment section down below. I honestly look forward to hearing from you, because I think that when we share our experiences, that's when we, as a community of professionals, become even better. So these are my top 3 biggest predictions for this year in 2026, now that there's this PMP gold rush, because the PMP is changing in 2026. Now, if you want to learn what the most top biggest project management certification to take, please watch this video next, and I will see you in the next video.